have is nothing but shadows, and I think this is my favorite of all the 10 novellas we got to read. I loved it! A+ to Nothing But Shadows. This is where we learn about James Herondale. James is being brought to Shadowhunter Academy for the first time. He's feeling super nervous because he's super introverted. He reads all the time, but he has social anxiety. He has trouble talking to people. He feels so much pressure to be funny and to be like his dad. James feels like he can't. He can't capture the attention of people in a room like his dad can. And that's the scary thing when you're going to school and you're trying to make friends and you don't know what to say to people. I can't tell you how hard I was relating to this story. There's this one scene where he tries to make friends with this kid, Mike Smith. Mike goes along with it and talks to him, but you can just see he'd rather be at the popular kids table. He's just settling for talking to James, but he doesn't really care about being friends with James. And it sucks. It sucks to feel like this person is just defaulting to friends with you because there's no one else to talk to. And then we meet Matthew Fairchild, the second child of Charlotte and Henry. He's very charismatic. He's the golden boy. At first, he's the Draco Malfoy to James's Harry. I loved watching that relationship develop. I got the sense that Matthew had a crush on James, and maybe James has a crush on Matthew. I know one of the leads of Last Hours is gay, and I'm not sure if it's James, but I ship them so hard. But I don't know, because there is this character, Grace, that James keeps mentioning, and how she's trapped, and he wants to save her, and she's the only girl he knows, and he likes her. And I remember hearing about Grace in that other Midnight Air novella from the Bane Chronicles. I don't remember exactly what was going on. I remember it was really weird and creepy. I'm so interested to find out more about their Parabati relationship. I loved watching James come into himself and finally make friends with Matthew. Matthew is well read and he's kind-hearted. I got really sad when I heard that Henry really wasn't doing well. He kind of gets lost in his own head and doesn't realize what's going on around him to an extent where it can endanger his life. We also learn that James can turn into a shadow. At will, he can turn himself into nothing, so stuff can go through him. He could basically turn into a ghost and then come back into himself because of that part of him that is demon, because Tessa is Shadowhunter and Warlock, and that's why his eyes are this bright gold color, and those eyes are passed down the line from him onward. Shadowhunters in training have to go out into the forest where the teachers have laid out all these Pisces boxes with demons inside them, and I'm just here like, after what happened with Will, I fucking hate these things. And things get really dark. Matthew and James come across one of the Cartwright students and he's just dead. He's been killed by a demon that they brought out here to scare James out of school. Everyone thinks he's the devil now that he has a warlock ability because Shadowhunters are so freaking racist. And this whole series of novellas is about how Simon is a progressive Shadowhunter and how he is going to infiltrate them from the inside out and try to turn these prejudices around. And the kids are just coming off of this war where all the Downworlders and the Shadowhunters, excluding the fairies, work together to save the world. So they're more open-minded to this. But poor James, of course, lives in the early 1900s. Everyone's just as anti-Downworld or racist crazy as ever. And it's sad, and I'm sure that's a huge part of why he is the way he is as a teenager in Midnight Air, but something happened. He was betrayed somehow, and I don't know who betrayed him or what happened, if it was Matthew or I want to know. I want the Last Hours to start from where this story leaves off. I want to see them be Parabati. We've never seen Parabati after they become Parabati, training and being Parabati right off the bat. You know what I'm saying? We see Alec and Jace, they're already Parabati. We see Jem and Will, they're already Parabati, but we don't see them take that journey. These are two people who just met each other. They're best friends now, and they're gonna become Parabati. I just want to see that journey. I love the end of this story when Will comes to pick them up. He's expelled. Matthew gets himself expelled by giving Christopher the tools to explode part of the school. We meet Christopher Lightwood, who is Cecily and Gabriel's son, and we meet his cousin Thomas Lightwood, who is Sophie and Gideon's son. Christopher Lightwood is a lot like Henry. He's always inside his head, thinking about the world differently, wanting to do experiments. In the carriage ride home, Will goes, "When the south wing collapses, there could be flying debris. Any one of us could be injured." He sounded very cheerful about this. "Best to stop on our way home and see the Silent Brothers." "That seems excessive," Matthew began, but James elbowed him. Matthew would learn how father was about the Silent Brothers soon enough. The Evil We Love, where for the first time we really get to learn about Robert Lightwood, and holy shit, this was a great story. I'm so glad I got to read about it. We know that sometimes when a Shadowhunter child gets their first marks, they can't handle the mark and they die. Robert Lightwood was one of those children. Robert Lightwood could not bear his mark. And reading that scene was horrifying. It brought tears to my eyes. Couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. He was sick, dying in bed for a month, but he survived. After his body survived and went through that ordeal and came out the other side, he could take marks. The fact that this happened brought shame upon his family, his parents. They were like, no, we'd rather him be dead than live as a mundane. And the way his relationship with his parents changed after that is so sad. It changed something knowing his parents' love for him had a limit, and something must have changed for them too, discovering that part of their son couldn't handle the Shadowhunter life and being forced to bear that shame. We see the circle at Shadowhunter Academy. We see Valentine manipulating these people into following him. There's so many little tidbits that hint at things we're not sure about yet that might come into play in the future. We get to meet Michael Wayland, who is Robert Lightwood's Parabati, and who has fallen in love with him. He seems so nice and caring, and he's the only person that Robert really cares about. He thinks there's something wrong with him because he can't figure out why he's not in love with Mars. He loves everything about their relationship, but he doesn't actually love her. He's still attracted to other women. And when he finds out that Michael is in love with him, he is horrible to him. He says unforgivable shit. And we know he regrets it now. And we know that really affected his relationship with his son Alec. And we know that he's trying to be better now. But I was so sad reading that part. That's his Parabati. That's the one person that's always there for him. And he has the fucking nerve to turn his back on him. And this whole confrontation was manipulated by Valentine. He needed to break them apart because he knew that together they could be a force against him. And Robert played exactly into his plan. Look, we also learned that Valentine's dad was killed by a werewolf, which kind of gives more backdrop to the reason why Valentine loathes werewolves so much and why he would turn his back on Lucien when Lucien got bitten. Luke was his Parabati. Like, I don't know if we knew that. Maybe I did know that and I forgot. I thought maybe they were just best friends. They were Parabati. And they both loved Jocelyn, but Valentine really cared about Luke, so he never said anything about it. There's this one point where Valentine lectures Robert, and I can't help but agree with Valentine. You're not afraid of death or injury, Robert. You're afraid of yourself and your own weakness. You lack faith. You lack loyalty because you lack the strength of your own convictions. How can you be expected to believe in anything or anyone if you don't believe in yourself? And after this all happens with Michael, Robert just goes along with whatever the hell Valentine says because it's easy. He doesn't want to have to deal with his feelings. And seeing Robert in the present, I'm questioning, like, was he bisexual? Did he have feelings for Michael too? Is that something that haunts him? Is he in denial? And that's one of the reasons why he was so upset with Alec. Is he confronting her dad about this affair was something I really wanted to see in City of Heavenly Fire. I wanted to see them work through this together. That confrontation finally happens in this book. It brought me to tears. I'm so glad we got to see it. Robert says, eventually I assumed I just didn't have it in me, that I wasn't built for that kind of love. If you're about to tell me that you found it with your mistress, Isabel shuddered. I'm telling you that I found it with Alec, with you, with Max. Having you kids, Isabel, has changed everything. Loving someone doesn't mean you're never gonna make mistakes. I've made more than my fair share, and some of them I will never have the chance to make up for, but I'm trying to be my best with your brother, and he knows how much I love him, how proud I am of him, and I need you to know it too. You're the only thing I'm certain of, and the only thing I'll always be certain of. And if I have to, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to prove to you that you can be certain of me. It was just a really, really nice moment. The growth that Robert seems to have gone through and how hard he's trying to be better, really has changed my opinion of him. I'm so glad that he's actively trying to mend this relationship with his children. Now, I need to talk about Stephen Herondale. Something is fucking up with what's going on with Stephen Herondale. I don't know what happened. I can't believe that this is a natural thing, that Valentine just brought him over as his loyal servant that will do whatever he wants. He's in love with Amadeus, and for some reason he feels the need to get permission from Valentine to marry her. And for some reason he changes his whole persona within the first few months at school to match Valentine's. And I'm not buying it. And this girl we see, Celine, who is kind of pursuing Luke right now to get closer to Stephen because she has a crush on Stephen, is the one that ends up being Jace's mother. A Herondale would never cheat on the woman he loves. What happened to make that happen? What does Valentine have over Stephen Herondale? Has he been experimenting on him secretly? Was he experimenting on Stephen? It feels like Stephen is sired to Valentine. He has his own thought process, but then whatever Valentine tells him is law in his mind. Why did he pledge everything to Valentine so quickly? I need the story of what's happening there. It is so suspicious, so ridiculously suspicious. The next story we get is Pale Kings and Princes. Helena Blackthorne is treated like crap and forced to lecture Shadowhunter Academy about how awful fairies are and tell the story of her father. It's all very upsetting. It's very Germany post-World War I. And it's all setting us up for TDA. The good thing that comes out of this story is Simon and Isabel push through the awkwardness. I love how Izzy takes them on the same weapon date that Jace took Clary. And she's like, I am never taking dating advice from Jace again. Izzy just shows up for a date. And Simon's like, wait, should we invite Helen to come with us? Helen, do you want to come with us on our romantic date? And in the end, we see the story that Helen told about her father and her father's brother from the point of view of the Fae. She and her father fell in love. Then we have Bitter of Tongue. Simon gets captured by fairies and he's in this cage in Fairyland, remembering all the times he's been in cages before. Vampires, Shadowhunters, and now fairies. Why me? Why is it always me? And in Fairyland we see Mark, one of the Blackthorne children, who's trying to hold on to his mind, but it's slowly being pulled away from him. But he's determined to find a way back to them. I know he's gonna do it in TDA. And then Aline and Helen get married and it's beautiful. I shed so many tears because I feel so bad for these children and for Helen and for Aline and the whole situation that they're in. I love that Simon and Jace hug. Jace hugged him when he saw him, and more Simon was coming to believe that he and Jace had not had a relationship in which they hugged before. At the same time all this is happening, we're getting to know the Shadowhunter Academy students better. I love Marisol. She is my favorite. I love the relationship she's formed with John Cartwright. She's turned John Cartwright into a caring individual. She's changed him. And the way she did it was hilarious. I'll be partners with John. I wish to continue our conversation from breakfast. I have many more things to say to him on the subject of video games. I don't want to hear any more about video games, Marisol. I know. I wasn't too crazy about this story. Clary and Simon are forced to do this Parabati Test, where they drink Lake Lynn water and they have hallucinations. As soon as Simon ascends, they can do the Parabati ceremony. They're acting as witnesses to Julian and Emma's Parabati ceremony. Simon's realizing that Julian's in love with Emma and he's not saying anything about it. He sees it, he knows it, and he doesn't do anything about it. And I'm just like, Julian clearly isn't okay with this. He's clearly conflicted and no one does anything to question him. Then we have Born to Endless Night. Magnus is coming to guest lecture at Shadowhunter Academy. Magnus Poppins has arrived!
Just a spoonful of Magnus, have some medicine and go down!
He looks at the crooked turret that's breaking off the castle, snaps his fingers, rights itself. Simon goes to George. Want to talk about when Magnus and Alec go and we steal their suite and make our own meals in our own little kitchen? Could we really, Simon? Or is that too beautiful a dream? Every day would be a song. All I want is a sandwich, Simon. Just a humble sandwich. Oh, George just gets better and better as we go along. Simon tells Isabel that he loves her. And Isabel goes, I know. And I love how Isabel is constantly referencing pop culture now. And Simon's always like, wait, how would she, did I teach her that? We meet this new vampire leader named Lily. She's feisty and stubborn and loud and a little obnoxious, and I like her. We learn that Alec has formed this little group with the vampires and the werewolves and himself, and they take care of the city, like a little council. But the main event of this short story was the abandoned warlock baby that was left on the front steps of the Shadowhunter Academy. Now, question here is, whose baby is this? Is it gonna come into play later on? I'm sure it will, but right now, it's this dark blue warlock baby. Magnus and Alec take it in, and Alec immediately is like, we're gonna adopt this baby. Magnus goes for a walk because he's overwhelmed, he doesn't know what to do, he's having all these feelings. He comes back to his room and all the Lightwoods are there. Jace is there, Clary is there, Robert and Mars, and they're all there to help with the baby. They're all excited that Alec and Magnus are adopting a child, and the support that they showed for that, like this warlock child, touched my heart so much. The support that Robert was showing and the excitement he had. The fact that he suggested that they name it Max Lightwood or Michael, it was amazing. It was such an important Robert chapter to see how far he's come from that person he used to be, how much he's trying to be better. He could say those things to Isabel and it doesn't mean much until you see him being different and being supportive and being excited about this baby that he's gonna consider his grandchild. It was just such a beautiful, beautiful scene. I loved it, and I'm so happy for Magnus, and Alec asked Magnus to marry him, and It's just wonderful. Alec has grown so much. He's so confident now. He's so patient. And Simon talks to Jace. I love when Simon goes, "Hey Jace, remember when you told me that you wished I could remember?" And Jace goes, "Why are you asking me if I remember things? I'm not the one who has problems with remembering, remember?" The last story we have is Angels Twice Descending. It's come time for everyone to graduate, the mundanes to drink from the mortal cup. Izzy and Simon are rock solid now, and they do the ceremony, and Simon ascends and he gets all his memories back, and it's beautiful. As soon as he was thinking about George and how he wanted him just to drink from the cup so that they'll both be Shadowhunters now, I knew that it wasn't gonna go well. I knew someone was gonna die, and I wasn't ready for it to be George. He gets warped and turns black, and it's so scary and upsetting. And Simon decides that his Shadowhunter last name will be Lovelace. He's gonna take George's last name and carry on that Shadowhunter line. This is a wonderful book of novellas. I don't want to call it a book of novellas. I want to call it like the Simon book. You have to read the Simon book. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. I love to hear your thoughts, what your favorite of the novellas was. My least favorite was definitely the first one. My favorite was definitely Nothing But Shadows. And then I think right after that would be The Evil We Love. I think that was fantastic. Share your thoughts. I'm so glad we got to talk about this. I'm so excited for Lady Midnight. Thank you for watching. My name's Christine. I'm at XTeenMay on Twitter. All the links to all my social media are in the description. I make videos every Tuesday. I'll see you next time. Bye!